Success is changing the scholarly publishing landscape. Are you ready? My name is Marishka Conley. I am the CloudSource Director of Partnerships and Communications, and my colleague here, Rick Granum, is our VP for Pre-Sales, Academic and Content Solutions. I'll be doing the latter portion of this. So, the traditional publishing model was fairly straightforward before the OA movement started. And really, a lot of these steps, all of these steps still exist in one way or another, although it's gotten a lot more complicated with transformative agreements and alternative publishing models. But the basic cycle includes funding, which is optional, of course, but it's a very common way to initiate research efforts, especially in the sciences where conducting research involves high cost. Research, whether it be in the lab or data collection or surveys, systematic reviews, whatever method of research in the discipline, something happens to answer a question, explore a concept, test a theory, or advance the field in some way. And then an article or other scholarly output is the next step. And that is followed by peer review, which is the most common system of checks and balances in the academic conversation. Publishers rarely have specialized knowledge to evaluate whether the research has merit and value to the community and to find obvious problems that need to be corrected before it can be accepted for publication. So this is a critical step. Publishers then, before the internet, would collate and print the articles, case studies, and other research. And of course, this mostly happens electronically now. And they oversaw distribution via subscription or other sales models. Again, this is still happening. But note that none of the proceeds come back to the scholar or researcher and rarely the peer reviewers. This very real work is considered to be a service to the academic community and to the profession. And finally, that research is hopefully read, cited, reused, which leads to more conversations, contributing back to hopefully funding and research. In the early days, publication was almost entirely controlled by the publisher. Therefore, the internet and the ability to, email, print, and self-archive has really changed everything. Before that, it was impossible to really distribute your work widely. But the internet, of course, changed everything. Suddenly, researchers had tools, though rudimentary at first, like listservs and FTP sites. I don't know if anyone else in here is old enough to remember those, to take the publication cycle really more into their own hands. What happened over the next few years can best described as statements and actions, although much of this happened simultaneously. Starting in the late 1980s, rogue OA journals and listservs and news groups started to spring up, which sometimes led to things like archive physics, which is still around today. Then scientists and scholars started to release statements, first individually, then as groups, calling for research to be made available to everyone for the good of their professions and the collected knowledge of humanity. Some arguments were easily won. We got, PubMed from NIH, but today OA is all over the place. And this is just a very brief outline. I just pulled a key list of selected things just to kind of demonstrate where action and statements kind of intersected and led to other things happening. But today the conversation is still active among the scholarly community and among librarians and publishers around the world. A bunch of scientists and scholars can't achieve the level of OA we have today on their own, so what changed? Well, I've got a word for you, funding. Shouldn't come as a surprise. The biggest driver of the current OA landscape are OA mandates attached to funding research. The message coming from the academic community and researchers was definitely heard, and this is kind of how it translated. A few funders who mandate OA that you might recognize, you've got the Wellcome Trust, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Microsoft Research. I would need so many slides to list all of these and show you everyone that is mandating OA. The government research agencies were not far behind. They fund research around the world and are also requiring OA publication models. So I mentioned the NIH already, and NSF, NOAA, the U.S. Geological Survey, the European Research Council. All federal government agencies in the U.S. support research now and stipulate OA publication. So the European Commission has very similar expectations, and so do government agencies around the world. All of these OA policies are reshaping academic publishing on a global scale. And I do want to point out that in 2020, or 2022 rather, we got the Nelson Memo, which updated the 2013 funding memo from the Office of Science and Technology Policy. And I think this is going to be pivotal. So basically what this does is it changes that 1-year embargo that has become standard in all government-funded research and will take that out entirely. So this research must be made available immediately upon publication. And this goes into effect at the end of 2025, so just next year, which is going to change a lot. The government doesn't fund all the research, but it funds a lot of research in this country. So how much OA is out there? There's a lot of it. Over 65 million scholarly articles are open access, including scholarly resources rather, including articles, books, and data sets. Over 51 million of them are scholarly articles. 61% of all scholarly articles published since 2017 are OA, and 3.8 million open articles were published in 2023 alone, making 67% of all scholarly articles, we're talking about things in Crossref, the things you can trust. Last year, 67% of them were open access. The graph on the right here illuminates an anticipated shift in the scholarly community by 2040, where they anticipate almost 100% of peer-reviewed articles are expected to adopt OA licensing. The primary driver, of course, is those funder mandates, but we hit 67% last year, so this goal is actually a lot closer than you might think. And I will point out that the Directory of Open Access Journals does index all fully open titles, your gold and diamond journals, but what about the green, the bronze, other colors of OA? I can talk, I swear. Well, most often than not, you're going to find those in hybrid journals. And so if you turn on the DOAJ in your discovery layer, you're getting about 16% of all OA content. Everything else is essentially hidden unless you subscribe to those journals. Otherwise, they're just not indexed in your discovery layer. This is important because I think librarians think they kind of have OA covered if they turn on the DOAJ, and you really don't. You've only got about 16% of it. You're missing out on a lot of the OA content out there. At this point, it probably shouldn't surprise you to know the impact of so much open access has really changed the composition of academic databases, such as this one. This is a real academic database that a lot of libraries subscribe to. We did an article-to-article comparison on this and looked at the closed articles versus the OA articles. And since 2017, so everything in the last 8 years or so, about 70% of it is OA in this particular database. And this is a real academic database here. We've done these analysis on a lot of different databases and find that very often the OA content is a pretty high percentage of what's out there, and librarians just simply aren't aware. And what we see when we looked at the top ranked journals, this is the top multidisciplinary journals as of February this year in CIMAGO, where the half of them contain a high amount of OA. A lot of them are either fully OA or getting there very quickly. And we see this discipline by discipline. The higher the rank of the journal in the discipline, the more likely it is to have a high open access publication rate, because of course exciting research is being done by people getting research funded. And the largest publishers are all people you should be familiar with at this point. They have published historically published the bulk of our scholarly articles, and they're not lowering their editorial standards for OA. These journals publishers will always want to publish the best authors with the most interesting research. Most of them are not purely OA, they're hybrid journals. Here's an idea of how many articles are in these particular publishers. They reside right next to articles that require access through a paid subscription, and you would almost need a subscription to access these easily. I think OA often gets associated with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and medicine. So you might wonder where the arts, humanities, and social sciences kind of fall within this, this landscape. This is a breakdown of the top 25 subject headings and what they look like today. The blue represents all subject headings in the CloudSource OA Index. The orange represents just those articles published in the last 8 years, since 2017. And it's a really striking visual indication of how things have changed. Looking at the newer articles, computer science is in the second place now. Art appears in the top 25 subject headings. Law appears for the first time. Geology and surgery have dropped out of that top 25. And this is just peer-reviewed articles. I'm sure you can imagine what it would look like if we pulled in books and textbooks and OER material. The OA movement might have had its roots with science and medicine, but it has branched out and is now present and alive in every discipline and field. Right. I'm going to pass this over to Rick to go ahead and show you where CloudSource fits in this publishing landscape.
Thank you, Mariska. Thank you all for coming today. Let's just dive right in and talk about how CloudSource can help with this problem of finding and using open access resources. So CloudSource is a new full resource discovery platform from SirsiDynix. Sorry, I did this last time. I just got to make my screen a little bigger here. There we go. And this is part of our Blue Cloud Library Services platform. So again, SirsiDynix is our long history has been in providing integrated library systems and discovery and analytics tools. So this is our first big foray into aggregating and providing content. So with CloudSource, we're providing comprehensive aggregation, enrichment, management, and discovery of e-resources of all library types. We're going to take a look at a demo in just a moment. We started out CloudSource with our first offering, CloudSource OA, that was launched at the end of 2021. And we're now up to over 65 million open access resources. Those are articles, proceedings, reports, etc. Also open ebooks, open e-textbooks, and open educational resources. And these includes things like online courses and videos and lesson plans and activities, etc. CloudSource Plus was just released this past summer, so in July of this year. And with CloudSource Plus, we're adding subscription content and on-demand fulfillment options. More than 1 billion records have been added to the index. And that's non-OA scholarly content, magazines, trade journals, non-OA ebooks, multimedia formats, news sources. So really a pretty comprehensive index that covers the needs of academic libraries. And so we are not just aggregating metadata as it exists. We've built a platform of smart tools that are enriching the metadata, providing things like additional publication information. We're working with some AI tools to provide subject categories, for instance, to expand the metadata and provide better discovery. More author affiliation information, citation information, etc. All right, so let's take a quick look at searching CloudSource OA collection. And again, we're going to be looking at the whole gamut, article resources, but also some ebooks in this brief example. And we'll talk through some of the functions that you see here to the left. So we can search on specific fields or search everything. I'm searching for climate change, and I got back about 300,000 hits. Note that we do provide a Wikipedia widget that can be useful just as a point of reference. We also use Wikipedia disambiguation tools, which are really helpful if you're searching a very broad topic. The filters will let you drill down quickly to what you're looking for. So format, peer-reviewed status, the pub date, again, the field of study. But much of that is populated by some AI work that we're doing. Publication name, language, the specific CC license, mesh headings, and then a few filters regarding OER, so course level, material type, primary user, and we've got publisher as well. So I'm going to select peer-reviewed as a filter, and then let's choose to search within the results. I'm going to look for hurricane, certainly appropriate to where we are now. And then let's drill down to recent articles, so 2024, 2023. All right, so if we look at the article at the top of the list, quite a bit in the brief detail display, or the brief display. There's also, I'm pointing out, that link at the top lets you capture the search strategy. So if you want to drop that into a LibGuide or you want to curate a search result for a user, you can send them that link. The status bar I'm pointing to gives you some key information about that resource, like the CC license, the citation metrics, number of web reviews, etc. Best part about this is your students have one click to go right to the full text. So no jumping through hoops to log in, because this is an OA resource. And we're not giving them a giant menu of links to plow through to try to get to full text. It's just one click of the most recent article for that resource, or most recent version for that resource. There's also a citation tool. We provide more than 2,500 citation styles you can choose from. You can annotate the citation, you can link to style notes. Your users can mark up the citation before they save it. So if they want to add notes or change any of the formatting, they want to add a hyperlink, say to the DOI, it's easy for them to do. So pretty robust built-in citation widget. You can also export this right to Mendeley or Zotero or what have you. There's also a permalink if you wanted to share this article or bookmark it, come back to it later. We integrate with our partner Browsing from Third Iron. We also have just completed a big integration project with LibKey as well. And then let's take a look at the detailed view of this record. I'm going to click on the heading, and you'll see some of that additional enrichment work that we provided. Again, a more fulsome bibliographic record, more information on the license. I'm going to flip through a few records to show you an example where that field of study expansion we've done is super helpful. Again, using some AI tools to provide more fields of study. We've also got additional locations. That also appears in the additional links widget, and that may include, preprint versions of this particular article. Now for the references, the cited by and published with tabs, you can click right through to the article in the list, or you can go to the publisher site. But there's also this handy widget that opens all of them in a separate tab. So in one click, I've got all my references in another tab that I can plow through really quickly. There's also Buzz. These are aggregated reviews about this article, and that really can be useful in helping you decide whether you want to use this article in your research. Okay, so a little bit more, let's take a look at some of the OER resources. So we've included open ebooks and e-textbooks in our collections from various reputable partners. And each of these partners, like Open Textbook Library and OAPN, do a lot of work in vetting these resources, so it's just not some random ebooks from the web. OER Commons, also a very reputable partner in helping us aggregate OER content. So same index, same discovery interface. I'm searching social media teenagers, and I get back about 200,000 results. And I'm going to narrow down to books and book chapters. And that still brought back a pretty impressive 3,700 hits just on that pretty narrow topic. And then again, I can look at some more detail about that resource. I can view it just with a click. It's going to pop open the open ebook, and of course the user can save that, share it, come back to it again and again without logging in. And then let's close this and look for another result. I'm going to search for calculus. Let's say I'm a student prepping for a calculus exam, and I'm looking for some additional help. So I'm going to choose the broader OER filter, and then from there I can use my OER filters to narrow down to a particular course level or a particular type of material. I'm going to choose textbook, and that brought back 124 calculus textbooks, and I can click right through to that to see the textbook. In this case, I didn't filter down to a particular audience level. I just said I want a textbook. So if you're a graduate student, you may not want a textbook called MOOC Calculus or Mooculus or whatever it was called. But and again, there's a wide variety of things that appear at different age levels. And all of those you can filter out, by the way, in your collection management. You can curate to only include certain course level materials. All right, so I'm searching for renewable energy, and again, just another example of the type of content included. I'm going to say I'm looking for particular college level audiences, and then there is a video on here about renewable energy, so very easy to grab that. There you go. All right, so some key takeaways from this presentation. Hold on, got too excited on that one. So this open access content is high quality content. It's challenge all of us face in trying to educate our colleagues and, in your case, faculty and even students that don't think because it's free that it's of lower quality. I guess many of us have downloaded super awful ebooks from Amazon and realized that maybe I'll want to pay for books that are worth reading. But this is different. These are the same quality content from the same high impact publishers. They're just now created with an open access license because of various pressures that Mariska talked about. But it is high quality content. It is the future of scholarly publishing. So if you've attended any publishing focused conferences over the last several years, you know that the publishers understand that for scholarly publishing, it's all going OA and will be completely OA within the next 10 to 15 years. And without CloudSource, open access content is hard to find. I mentioned in the previous session that I've actually had librarians tell me, I'm not worried about the open access stuff because it's open, students can just Google it to find it. Well, come to our session tomorrow at 11.
Thursday.
Thursday, I keep telling people tomorrow. We're going to do a whole session on why that's a bad idea. And I'm almost done.
Yep.
And CloudSource provides OA article content in one place. So we're aggregating everything into one comprehensive, pretty intuitive discovery solution. And if you just treat the open access collection as a way of expanding what you're paying for, then it's significant. Again, 65 million resources, super easy to find, and a lot of enrichment done on that metadata. And we can do a collection analysis for you for free. If you go to cloudsource.net, there's a link right on the front page to a collection analysis. And we'll tell you exactly how much of your paid subscriptions is OA. All right, so thank you all. There's some few links. And again, we've got some cards here with our presentations Thursday, if you're so inclined, and some other literature that you can take with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.